We're going to go down trackside, and you see those bright decals on the number 3 car. John McKenzie and the folks at Motorsports Designs have done these Scotch Light type decals, so they really show up at night. But Glenn Jarrett, nobody's going to have any trouble finding that 3 car.
Well, Mike, nobody ever has trouble finding the 3 car. He's always somewhere up front, particularly in this race. He's won this thing twice, and he is the leading money winner in the Winston. Dale, Saturday night at the fights is finally here.
I can't wait. You know, a lot of hype pumped up to it. Winston's done a great job, and Charlotte Motor Speedway and everybody hoping to put this GM Goodrich Chevrolet in Victor Lane. Great crowd tonight, huh?
A terrific crowd. You've always had success in this thing here in front of the hometown fans. Finally at night, does that give you even extra incentive for the first time that this thing is run at night to really do well?
Well, you know, hopefully we can win it. You know, it being the first night at Winston. It'd be a monumental first. So, you know, I'm ready for it. It's been great practicing and everything. So get ready here and go.
Okay, now somewhere up in that wave of humanity are Katie and TG.
What about this crowd?
Oh, they are unreal. Every one of the race hasn't even started yet, and every one of them are on their feet.
They can't get any more. 150,000, you think?
Oh, way more than that. There's people all over in the pits, way up in the stands. This is the place to be.
They are ready. They are ready. It's like a keg of dynamite getting ready to go off.
They're not the only ones that are ready. The drivers are ready. This is going to be one hot night. That is the whole thing is what it's all about.
Well, I tell you, I'm fired up. I'm ready.
Well, we're going to get ready to give you the rundown of exactly where the drivers are starting. And, of course, the newest drivers into the Winston, Michael Waltrip and Hut Strickland. They're very excited about that. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
Thank you, Katie. One of TNN's most popular series, Winners, as hosted by Neil Bonnet, will host the starting grid for tonight's event. And Winners, Neil, that's what this thing's all about.
Well, I tell you, every one of these guys got in this race by winning races. And if they want to keep on their jobs, they're going to need to win this one. These guys have got their handful, but it's going to be a good race for one of them to win.
Here's the starting lineup. On the pole for the second year in a row, Davey Allison.
And Davey led from start to finish to win last year's event.
On the outside pole, the Pontiac of Rusty Wallace.
And Rusty won the 89 Winston on the final lap pass.
Row 2 going third, Bill Elliott in a Ford.
Bill was the winner of this event back in 1986.
And starting fourth, Ken Schrader's Chevrolet.
Schrader has been the runner-up in the last 3 Winstons.
Fifth and carrying our in-car camera, Jeff Bodine in a Ford.
Jeff has competed in 6 of the 7 Winstons, and his best finish being 4th.
Going off 6th in a Chevy, Darrell Waltrip.
And Waltrip won the inaugural running of the Winston in 1985.
7th, the Oldsmobile of Harry Gant.
And Gant finished a close second back in 1985.
Starting 8th, Dale Earnhardt in a Chevrolet.
Dale is the only 2-time winner of NASCAR's All-Star race.
9th, the Chevy of Ricky Rudd.
Rudd has been in every one of the Winstons run so far.
Starting 10th, Dale Jarrett in a Chevy.
Dale won his right to be in the Winston by winning at Michigan last year.
11th in a Ford, Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan is making his 6th consecutive appearance in the Winston.
Going 12th in a Ford, Dave Mader.
Dave Mader drives for Harry Melling, who qualified as a winning car owner.
13th, Terry Labonte.
Labonte won in 1988.
14th starter, Alan Kulwicki in a Ford.
His best finish was 5th back in 1989.
Going off 15th, the King, Richard Petty.
And this is the 4th appearance in the Winston for the King.
Right alongside his son, Kyle, starting 16th.
Kyle has a couple of 6th-place finishes as his best in the Winston.
Qualifying trouble for Ernie Irvin, he goes 17th.
He finished 5th last year in his first appearance in the Winston.
And engine trouble for Mark Martin in qualifying.
Mark's best finish was 3rd in 1990.
And back in the final row, Mike Waltrip, the winner of the Winston Open, and Hut Strickland, the runner-up. 20 cars start this event. It includes the 1991 and 1992 race winners. And then, of course, these 2 drivers, Mike Waltrip in 19th and Hut Strickland in 20th, added to the field. And there are also provisions for drivers who have won the Winston within the past 5 years, such as Terry Labonte, and for former Winston Cup champions who are still active that are otherwise not qualified. That puts Richard Petty in the race. And it's not just drivers, but car owners, too. So those 18 plus the 2 from the Winston Open. Let's go trackside.
Those words that you have been waiting for all night long to hear is Mr. Jim Johnson from R.J. Reynolds.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
There are 29 Winston Cup point races each season. There's the Busch Clash for pole winners, and there's this for bragging rights and a whole lot more. And it's about to get really hot. We are ready for stock car racing's all-star tilt to Winston. One hot night has really heated up. The cars are aligned on the front straightaway. 1,200 light poles. 1 million candle power, rather 1 million watts of light being generated, and they're about to roll off here and get set for this unique 3-segment race. They'll run 30 laps, and after that 30 laps, the fans on their way into the speedway today voted as to whether or not the finishing order of that first 30-lap segment will be inverted, yes or no, for the second 30-lap segment. There'll be a pit stop in between. The teams can make changes on the cars as they could in a regular Winston Cup race. They'll run 30 more laps. Then they'll come in, get to make a brief pit stop, and then 10 laps will settle it all. And the winner could go home with as much as $300,000. Watching out Rusty Wallace's car at the pace car, and joining us is a little bit warm-looking Buddy Baker.
Yeah, well, I had to run over here from the pit area. I'm used to driving. That running will kill me.
Well, tell me, you've been here at the Speedway all week and had a chance to run against some of these guys. Who do you like tonight?
I wouldn't want to pick anybody. I'll tell you, it's whoever runs the best tonight. That's what it's going to boil down to. The track conditions are perfect. You can see well. It's going to be a great race.
Was the track much different tonight than it was in practice this afternoon, or was it in practice last night?
I think it was better tonight. As Neil will tell you, you can really concentrate better at night than you do in the daytime because you don't have anything else to look at but a lit racetrack.
But we're awaiting. As these cars come back to the line, they will stop and pose for the annual Winston poster picture under the lights here. That'll be sure to be a collector's item. And they are going to send up an artillery shell that we're told is the world's largest single firework. Wish we had a line up to the space shuttle. They might be able to hear it up there, Neil.
I tell you what, when Humpy Wheeler says he's going to shoot up some big fireworks, I'm fixing to step back a notch. There's no telling what's fixing to go off.
Supposedly, the burst from this shell will cover a diameter of about half a mile. That'll be out over turn number 3. And the moon is full up over turn number 4. Now, where I grew up in New England, a full moon night of racing meant only one thing, and that was a bunch of cars stacked on top of one another. Was it like that in Birmingham?
Yeah, I don't know why, but it seems like it always happened. But all I want to see is a bunch of cars stacked side by side with some good hard racing, and I think we're fixing to see that.
Buddy, was that a big superstition in your racing career, if there was a full moon?
Oh, yeah, you heard that. Every promoter will tell you, if you want to see something wild, get that moon. Look at that thing.
A pale full moon of early summer here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I think we got so much candle power, we've lit the whole country. The moon doesn't even look bright tonight.
No, it doesn't. You might be able to see this from the space shuttle. Musco Lightning of Iowa has done quite a job with this. And all of North Carolina is about to know that we're ready to roll.
Well, I tell you what, that's hard to believe how many people have gotten in those grandstands. I mean, it's even in the suites, buddy, you know, you go through, usually you can find you a seat to sit in the suites. There's not an empty seat in any of these condos or suites.
I got to tell you, that's all I've heard around Charlotte. Anywhere I go, they want to know about the lights. And look at this crowd. I mean, most promoters would give anything to have this on a regular race day.
There's the big explosion. An aerial burst as the field rolls off for the start of the Winston. I've talked to folks all week long that have probably never been to Charlotte Motor Speedway, never been to a Winston Cup, or even a stock car race of any kind, but they say, this thing under the lights tonight, I want to come see this.
I got to tell you, you better get used to this, too, because I think all the major speedways are going to have to go to this.
Mike, when you start talking about this nighttime racing, I've had people from RJR with Reynolds saying they've got people that work for them that's never been to a race saying, hey, can I get a seat? Can you, if I come down there, and they're having to turn some of their big people down in the company, there's no place to put them down here.
And so is about everybody that's involved in this sport. Had to do the same because this place is just packed to the rafters. Musco Lighting of Iowa developed this system. They lit Field of Dreams, the movie, the baseball movie starring Kevin Costner. They lit the Super Bowl, the Statue of Liberty rededication ceremony, but they never tackled anything like this. A 1.5-mile super speedway. Buddies, you know from being out there, trying to light this place so the fans can see, like from this angle, and yet still trying to light it so your drivers can see. That's a tall order.
It's amazing. In practice the other night, I rode down in the corner, and I mean, there's no reflection, no anything. You just sit there and watch the race. I mean, it's incredible. That's the word for it.
But, you know, we mentioned earlier, I'm not so sure it's not better because in the daytime, you've got the sun going in the first turn, and you just have constant lighting all the time now, and the drivers really love it.
Ricky Rudd told me it's like a hazy day. You can see very well, a little hazy off in the distance. And I can foresee a day, perhaps some 30 years hence, when Martinsville or North Wilkesboro is the Wrigley Field of auto racing. Perhaps the last track, or only track without, or last track to install a set of lights for night racing.
Look at these cars. They look like diamonds. They're just sparkling everywhere.
Look at the camera stuff, bud. You were in the car a while ago when y'all started the first race. That was the first one of the lights, and boy, the cameras are going crazy in the grandstands. And they still are. And they're fixing to go crazy on the racetrack.
Well, 20 of the best of Winston Cup racing are set to battle. 30 laps. They'll come in and make adjustments, and by vote of the fans, either start straight up the way they finished or turn the field topsy-turvy completely around and put the guy who took the checker first or the yellow first, put him at the back of the pack. Davey Allison won it last year. He is on the pole. Rusty Wallace is outside. They are both carrying in-car cameras for us tonight, as is Jeff Bodine. Bill Elliott and Kenny Schrader in row 2. It's Ford Pontiac, then Ford Chevrolet, then Ford Chevrolet. Then Harry Gantz Oldsmobile and Dale Earnhardt Chevy. Rudd, Jarrett, Shepard, Mater in the Melling car, because winning car owners also qualify for this race. Labonte, Kulwicki, the two Petties, Irvin, and Mark Martin. Then Mike Waltrip and Hut Strickland. Here we go.
Here goes the drag race.
Stock car racing's all-star event. It's underway. And it's Davey Allison out quickly with a lead. Rusty Wallace in second. Back straightaway. Schrader in third. They've broken away a bit from Bill Elliott and the rest of this field. First 5, single file. Trouble. One car bounces off the wall there mid-pack. That was Dale Jarrett. Gathered it back up and hung on in the middle of the pack. Smoke. That's Jarrett.
That could be the tire in there, maybe, or I don't know if it's motor or tire or whatever. If it hit the wall, it quit smoking down the back straightaway. Evidently came the tire in, buddy.
What he's done, he's moved rear end housing over and is pushing in on the left rear quarter panel there.
Rear track bar.
There we go. See it? That's trouble there. He'll have to stop.
Well, the best thing that ever happened to that black flagging, because if not, you'll blow a tire and big problems. They are black flagging the 18 car.
Yeah, he's pancaked the whole right side, and it's moved the rear end housing over against the left quarter panel. That's what's happening.
So Dale Jarrett running at about 10th spot. Will have to come to pit road. Back up front with the leaders.
Up there he goes. He's spinning.
Trouble back straightaway. Jarrett comes around. Morgan Shepherd's into him.
Mike Walter, we got a car.
Up, we got one on fire over there.
Bud Strickland hit the wall. Looked like it knocked the fuel pump off or something. Caught on fire, but it's out.
And we're under caution. 3 laps in. One hot night, quickly living up to its name.
Strickland jumping out of there in a hurry. It got warm.
I really hate to see that with Hut. You know, he ran such a great race in the Open, and this is a big deal for him, and I hate that for Bobby and all the boys that worked so hard on that car.
Yellow on lap 3 as Dale Jarrett spins coming out of turn number 2. Hut Strickland and other cars involved. We'll be right back. Exclusive live coverage of the Winston is being brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Riding along with Jeff Bodine, Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, and Richard Petty have made pit stops. Morgan Shepherd has gone to the garage as a result of the incident coming out of turn number 2. There's a look at the Jarrett car being worked on, and Hut Strickland is being hauled to the garage area. To preserve as much green flag racing as possible for you tonight during the running of the Winston, we'll take this break and be right back with 5 laps complete in this first segment. Well, there's the cause of it all. Up there behind the race logo, the full moon. Guys, it's getting to be a full moon night here in Charlotte.
I feel a little extra hair growing on me, don't you?
I see fangs on Bonnet over here. There's the Wood Brothers car of Morgan Shepherd. And it's pretty damaged, and so is Mike Waltrip's Pennzoil Pontiac, but he's still out there. Let's have a look at what happened from our backstretch speed shot.
Here they come. Jarrett's car must have blown that tire where it was rubbing, like Buddy was talking about with the track bar. Either the bar broke loose. He turned around, got out. You can't see him there. Got out against the outside wall. That's Jarrett sideways. The other guys, there's Jarrett coming around again. The guys behind him are in the middle of that smoke and they can't see. They start stacking up. There's Morgan Shepherd coming in right on the inside. That was Morgan and clipped Jarrett. Here we go from a different angle. There's Morgan Shepherd running into Jarrett coming across track. You can see that was Mike Waltrip in the middle of that crowd back there. Got hit in the rear. And there's the fire that Buddy was talking about earlier. That's Hut Strickland's car, I believe, up there, wasn't it, Buddy?
Yeah, yeah. He must have hit real hard and knocked the fuel pump off, like you said.
Richard Petty looked like he dodged the whole thing. Oh, he got in the back of Michael.
Oh,
no, that's Hut right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hut got in the back of Michael.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like Buddy said, what happens is the fuel pump really close to cross member, they usually break it off, and it's just a flash fire, and it went right out. But boy, Michael was really running in the other race while ago. It'd be nice to see him finish.
Dale Jarrett's able to continue. And let's go to Glenn Jarrett with Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan, tough break there early on. What happened?
Well, Glenn, you know, I know you probably feel as bad as I do almost. It's your brother out there racing, and something was loose on his car on the Panhard bar, and causing the left rear tire to rub real hard on his car. And anyhow, when I first took off, something was wrong with Harry's car. It wouldn't go, and I got caught behind him, and I couldn't go. And we just all kind of got together when Dale's car turned sideways in front of me.
Well, sorry for the tough luck. Back upstairs to Mike Joy for the start.
Thanks, Glenn. There have been several pit stops, and it looks like Dale Jarrett just came in, made a quick stop and go, and he'll be about half a lap behind the field as they come down for green. It's Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace, and look at this, folks. Short track style restarts, double file. 8 laps complete. Back in turn 1. Here goes Davey.
And 3 wide down the front straightaway. Somebody better give before they get the number 1 corner. Well, they did.
That's Kenny Schrader running 3rd behind Rusty Wallace, and up and on the outside, Bill Elliott's coming. Dale Earnhardt right behind him. That's 2nd through 5th. Ooh, Schrader and Elliott get together.
There's Earnhardt right on the bottom under both of them. Waltrip just hit the wall coming off the 4th turn. Kind of a similar deal to what Jarrett did, but I don't think he did a lot of damage.
If you'll notice off the 4th corner, when they come back off the corner up here, there's a row of patches up there. If you get a little bit high, buddy, I'm going to tell you, that car will get right up in that wall with you.
It's the 2nd one we've seen graze the wall.
Kenny Schrader gets kicked back a bit. Ricky Rudd's moved up. The Tide car, number 5. Now Alan Kulwicki moving up on the outside of Schrader. And here comes his Hendrick stablemate, Darrell Waltrip. Jeff Bodine moving up, and 2nd place is the battle. Elliott going to slingshot on by Rusty Wallace. Bill Elliott and Junior Johnson's Budweiser Ford goes for 2nd.
Earlier today, Elliott was just walking away from everybody in practice. This might be a thing that we're going to get to watch right at. When he gets to the Texaco car, though, it's a little tougher to pass him and the rest of them.
Long way for the leader, back to Bill Elliott trying to make up some ground. Then there's Rusty Wallace in the 2 car. A little bit strung out single file here. 10 down in this first 30-lap segment. Davey Allison trying to streak out from the field. He's got a 7/10 of a second lead on Bill Elliott. Let me show you the man who's moved up the most. Alan Kulwicki started 14th. He's in 6th place. Hooting along.
Hooting along is right. He runs very well at Charlotte.
Been on the pole here twice. He and Ricky Rudd have worked their way up through the field.
Alan's car the last several months, the last couple of months here, has just been flying everywhere he's been in one race. Looks like he's got it working again.
The car's always been fast, Neil, but now they've added good, clean, fast pit stops and engine reliability. And he's been right up there. There's Earnhardt in black. Mark Martin. They passed Olympic's Dale Jarrett, chasing Rusty Wallace, and then Kulwicki and Schrader.
I seen Schrader give Mr. Kulwicki a little hoot just in the middle of the corner down there. I think he wanted him to go on.
Well, Kulwicki moved past him. You're riding with Jeff Bodine in the Bud Moore Igloo camera, and there's the Ford telemetry showing RPM and speed as he hustles off to turn number 1.
A little over 8100, but that's the maximum. small amount of brake right there.
You notice where the left front on that car is? Right on that white line. If the car's working, that's where you have to run.
You see that haziness out the windshield Ricky Rudd spoke of just a bit. He says it looks just like daylight, only it's a little hazy. Do you get that feeling?
No, I like it. Look at this. I mean, it couldn't be any clearer.
No, you're right. Battle for ninth place. Kyle Petty has come up from the 9th row to run in 8th. Here's the battle for 9th right behind him. Terry Labonte, Ernie Irvin in the Kodak car. Labonte carrying the Sunoco colors.
You said something a while ago. What did they decide? Are they going to take the fastest cars and put them in the rear after the first section, or what?
Good question. They haven't told anybody. They won't until after this race is over.
The fans voted.
And T.G. Shepard and Katie Haas will have the vote and the announcement. Now, Ernie Irvin, remember, had trouble in qualifying. He had clutch trouble, and after they completed the pit stop, he couldn't get going. The Kodak car has moved from 17th on the grid to 10th. And Mark Martin has come right with him from 18th up to 11th in the Valvoline Ford. You're watching 4th place Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd chasing him down. And there's the king, Richard Petty. Richard holding his own in this first 30-lap segment. And you're with Jeff Bodine once more.
Richard right under him. Like Buddy said, if you see a car off that bottom line, he's not wanting to be there. He's having to move up because that's the place to be.
Yeah, and every time you move up, you'll see somebody go by just like Richard just did.
17 laps complete in this first 30-lap segment. Let's take you back up front, where Davey Allison has been making a snooze of the lead.
They call that car 007. I see why. I think he's won every time he's ever driven it but one time, and I think it run a disgusting second.
Yeah, but what was disgusting is he had to stop for fuel, and the other guy didn't. He actually had to race one, and the other guy didn't stop for fuel.
This is the view that Davey has seen of the whole field all night, right out his back window.
I tell you, before we just give it away, though, I'm telling you, Elliott, once he broke traffic, Elliott has probably closed in 5 or 6 car lengths. That's not saying a lot, but hadn't been many people able to close anything on that little black car.
Well, as fast as that black car has run all week, that stealth bomber, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the folks putting the ballots in those boxes checked off invert the field and see what he can do from the back. R.J. Reynolds has an accounting firm tabulating those ballots, and after this 30-lap segment, they'll be giving the results of the balloting to Katie Haas and T.G. Shepard. And we'll see if they invert the field. Bill Elliott leads the Winston at 168 miles an hour per lap. We'll be right back. 23 of 30 laps leads by 0.8 of a second. Bill Elliott has been unable to run him down. In 3rd, Rusty Wallace. 4th is Dale Earnhardt, and 5th is Kenny Schrader. Alan Kulwicki runs 7th. Rudd 6th. Ernie Irvin is 7th. And Ricky Rudd had been up as high as 5th, but he is now dropped back to 8th position.
I see a little bit of smoke coming out of that car as he starts in the corner. I don't know whether they might have got nudged in the left rear or something and have a little tire drag there.
They were running pretty close. We'll see. 6 laps to go. Then T.G. Shepard and Katie Haas will have the announcement as what the fans decided, whether or not they'll invert the field.
What are you chuckling about? Buddy, got an idea which way they might go.
Or did you vote? There's a look at Rudd. Don't see any visible damage.
That shot a hole in my idea.
Yeah.
He's not rubbing anything. Maybe the car is just going away a little bit. They can work on these things when they stop, you know.
Of course, if he finishes in 10th spot, he doesn't move up or back, whether they invert the field or not. I mean, 10th out of 20 is still 10th.
He's the only one that don't care, probably.
5 to go. 4th place. Little intramural racing among Chevrolets. That's Kenny Schrader in the Kodiak car, and here comes Kulwicki to mix it up.
You know, Schrader's finished 2nd the last 3 years in this event. He always runs good in this race.
Thought Kulwicki was going to make a sandwich there, and he nearly did. He chooses to go with Schrader, and they leave Earnhardt out on the high side.
I got to tell you, those 4 cars there, that's battlers in every one of them.
Here comes Irvin under Earnhardt. Take no prisoners.
As soon as the guy moves over, just shove him on over a little. Not going to get him anyway.
Ernie Irvin has come from the 9th row up there to 6th place.
Yeah, that pit stop on their qualifying lap last night really hurt them. And the cars had a lot of strength. They just couldn't use it.
3 laps to go. Davey Allison is not exactly checked out. Bill Elliott's starting to reel him in, but it's no contest for first. So we're back with this battle for 4th place. Schrader, Kulwicki. Alan Kulwicki said in the press conference the other day when track promoter Humpy Wheeler picked him as the Winston winner. Humpy has been right the last 3 years in a row. He says, I don't think anybody will sandbag in that first 30 laps. Turn the field upside down, inside out, it doesn't matter. We're all racers, and we're all going for the front if we can get there.
I tell you what, Mike, unique thing's fixing to happen. Davey's coming up on Michael Waltrip, who damaged his car. His car's real good. If he doesn't lap him before this segment, then Michael will have 10 minutes in the pits to work on that car, and he would start on the pole. So it's real critical that Davey doesn't come up on him and catch him right here in the end.
2 to go. 1 to go. White flag.
Mike Waltrip, if he can hold him off, will have an opportunity to... he's not going to be able to. Davey's going to run on around him.
Here, 12th place, Sterling Marlin and Harry Gant. Or excuse me, Terry Labonte and Harry Gant battle. Sterling was in that car for so long, I couldn't get him out of it.
Yep.
Terry Labonte. Here's the Davey Allison, last lap. See what kind of margin he can put on Bill Elliott here. As Davey Allison coasts to a wire-to-wire win in the first segment of the Winston. He'll pick up some cash for this, and we'll get ready for round 2. Checkered flag, 30 laps down. Allison, Elliott, Rusty Wallace in 3rd, Schrader in 4th, and Irvin nips Alan Kulwicki at the line for 5th. Then Rudd, Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, and Mark Martin. Well, 30 laps down, and gentlemen, no surprises.
There's one surprise. Davey did all of his obtaining the lead in the first 5 or 6 laps of that race, and then he held his own. I think from there on, they were virtually the same. Ernie Irvin was probably the fastest car on the field at that particular time when they had the checker then.
Irvin and Mark Martin moved up well from the back of the pack, and so did Alan Kulwicki. He's strong.
That's a nice view Davey has right there. That's all he's had all night long. That's the only car that's been in front of him.
Davey picks up $50,000 for winning the first 30-lap segment, added to the $50,000 that he won for the pole. Second place, Bill Elliott gets $15,000, and Rusty Wallace gets $7,500 for 3rd. Those are the only positions that pay any money in this first 30 laps. They'll come to pit road and be able to make repairs for this break.
I tell you, the suspense is killing me. What are they going to do, Neil? Everybody else guesses. Why can't we have a guess?
Straight up. I would almost think they would invert them, but
I would hope so.
I think they will.
I used to go to a lot of those Saturday night short track races, and they'd always handicap the fast guys and make them start in the back, and I think that'd be fun. I'd like to see them invert it. Davey Allison in the pits.
Okay, the boy can run in the right front telling Davey to turn the steering wheel. That's a heat gauge. They're checking the tire temperatures to see if the car's handling or not. Buddy's. Go ahead, buddy.
What would you do to this car?
You're right.
Wax it?
I think this guy's got the best idea. He's wiping the windshield off.
Yep.
I'd wipe the windshield off, give him maybe, I don't even know if they're going to do anything with the tires. They're sticking them right now.
Checking tire temperatures and running some cool air through that radiator. And we're about to go trackside when everyone at Charlotte Motor Speedway will join us for the announcement of what the fans in the grandstand decided, because the Winston folks are adamant that this be the fans' race. Yeah, the drivers get the money, the pride, and the prestige, but they do this for the fans, and that's why the double file restarts, and that's why the fans get to vote. Let's go to T.G. Shepard and Katie Haas.
We are down here right in the grass in the area in front of the grandstands, and now we are going to make the announcement of whether or not they are going to invert the cars. This was a fan-voted thing. This was the first time that's ever been done.
First time that they have been involved in a race to make a decision.
That's right. So we're going to tell you the decision now. A lot of people were taking guesses and taking shots at what the fans would vote on. Did you take a shot at it?
Yeah, I did.
Well, we better not say.
We better not say.
All right. In my hand, I have with me how many people voted to keep the cars as they are at this finish. This is a large number. The number of fans who voted to keep the cars as they finished, 4,609.
I've got a bigger number to invert. 8,075. The cars invert.
The cars invert. According to the fans, then, they will be inverted.
By a 2-to-1 margin.
That's your choice out there. The fans have voted to invert the cars. Way to go, fans. You took part.
You voted to invert it.
They will invert the cars this evening for the second leg, the 30-lap second part of the Winston.
I'm telling you.
Woo. Is that what you guessed, TG?
Actually, no. I didn't think that they would. I really didn't.
I thought maybe that they would. The fans voted to invert, so that's what we're going to do tonight for the second leg, the 30-lapper race for the Winston. That's the way you fans voted it. All right, Mike, are you surprised by the decision?
Well, I'm not, and I don't even think Davey Allison is surprised, but I think we're kind of happy because we're going to see a battle as these fast cars try to work their way to the front. We'll be back with the second leg of the Winston. Coverage of NASCAR's All-Star Night, the Winston, is being brought to you by Mellow Yellow and Kyle Petty. There's nothing mellow about him. Everybody's having a good time at the Winston, and this fella brought his own battery-powered blender, and he's set to go for another 30 laps. Never know what you're going to find up there in the grandstand. That's the countdown to the next segment as teams work on their cars, getting set to roll for another 30 laps. And then after this one, we'll start the next segment straight up. Well, Glenn Jarrett, is Davey Allison surprised the fans voted to stick him in the back?
Well, Mike Joy wants to know, and everybody wants to know, the fans have voted to put you in the back of the field. How you feel about that?
Well, I heard that 8,000 voted to invert it, 4,000 voted against inverting it, and that surprised me. It surprised me that that many voted against inverting it. But, yeah, we kind of figured it was coming, and we came here to run hard, Glenn. The Texaco Havoline Thunderbird's driving pretty good. You know, we'll just have to see what we can do with the traffic now.
He doesn't seem too worried, guys. He thinks he can put that thing back up front again.
Well, I'm not surprised. It's been the fast car all week. Randy Pemberton?
Okay, I'm down here with Dave Mater. Dave, you had a pretty good run going there, but you're inverting the order. You're going to start on the outside of the front row. That's pretty good. What do you think you can do with this Ford?
Well, we was a little tight right there in that first 30-lap segment, and we made an adjustment. And I'm just proud to be here, I'll tell you. The Max race car cars, Milling Ford. I hope I can do some good with it here in the last 40 laps. I'm real excited, I'll tell you.
Okay, Dave Mater, a rookie on this Winston Cup circuit. He's got a long way to go. There's going to be some tough competitors behind him. Mike Joy?
Let's remind folks, Randy, that although Dave's not a race winner, his car owner, Harry Melling, did win a Winston Cup race last year and is eligible to run in this event. His new driver's Dave Mater, and he's here in the field giving a good account of himself. 30 laps down, a 30-lap segment, and the 10-lap shootout to go. Stay with us for all the excitement of one hot night. Coverage of the Winston is being brought to you by Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. As the full moon beams down on Charlotte Motor Speedway and 1,000,000 watts of light show us there are 35 seconds before they fire them up for the next 30-lap segment in the running of the Winston.
Mike, this is the way it's supposed to be on Saturday night racing. You take your fast guys, you put them in the rear, and you make them earn their money. That's the way it's always been all over the country on little half-mile, quarter-mile racetrack. Put your fast cars in the rear, give the fans a show, and this should be a great show, buddy.
And let's remind folks at home, you may be watching your first Saturday night stock car race tonight, but the Winston Racing Series of NASCAR has great events every Saturday night at short tracks all around the country, and there's probably one near you. So next Saturday night, instead of sitting home watching TV, oops, should I say that? Instead of sitting home, well, I said it. Go to your local short track and see some good, hard-nosed heads-up racing all summer long. Well, they've given the command to start engines. There's Jeff Bodine. Bodine did not run too well in the first 10-lap segment of February's Busch Clash, but then he started up front and won the deciding 10-lap segment. Now he's starting on the pole in this one in the Bud Moore Ford.
He's got a crafty old man calling the shots in the pits there. I guarantee you, it's not by chance that happened that he's on the pole. I look for him to walk away with the second segment.
Bud Moore loves to play poker.
But I would like to see Richard Petty get the jump on him and lead one lap. This place would come down.
You think that firework was big?
Yeah.
Richard Petty gets to lead this thing.
I'm not sure that this thing could turn into one of those soccer routes if Petty ever takes the lead. I've always seen those stands fall over there. We don't need it over here. Petty gets in the lead. I don't know if the structure can take it.
Well, this second 30-lap segment will also pay $50,000 to the winner, $15,000 for second, and $7,500 for third. Here's the way to line up. Jeff Bodine is on the pole. Driving Bud Moore's Motorcraft Ford with our Igloo in-car camera. Dave Mader the third in Harry Melling's Ford, the Max Race car. Then Richard Petty in the SDP Pontiac. Terry Labonte in the Sunoco Chevrolet. Harry Gant in the Skoll Oldsmobile. Kyle Petty in the Mellow Yellow Pontiac. Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford. And 8th, Darrell Waltrip, the Western Auto Chevrolet. Then 9th, Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Chevy. And 10th, Ricky Rudd in the Tide Chevrolet. 11th is Alan Kulwicki's Hooters Ford. Ernie Irvin's Kodak Chevrolet. Kenny Schrader, the Kodiak Chevy. Rusty Wallace, the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. Bill Elliott, the Budweiser Ford. Davey Allison, the Texaco Haviland Ford. Then 1 lap down, Michael Waltrip, the Pennzoil Pontiac. And Mark Martin has transmission trouble. He has no forward gears, and thus, boy, is it a full moon night or what?
I tell you what, though, he's pretty smart. You see what he's doing. He's not just sitting there waiting on the record to get there. If he can get back in here and get that thing fixed, he can go right on racing. He hasn't lost a thing. He goes right back in the spot even.
That's right, buddy, because they do not count the cautions, and depends on how good a reverse gear he's got in that thing.
Well, from the exciting to the strange. One full moon night here. See if that crew can get him in forward gear.
What they can do at the worst, buddy, probably, you know, he said they'll probably jump over there and just put it in 4th gear if they have to, if they can possibly do it by hand.
Any gear is better than what he's got right now.
Yeah, that's not real aerodynamic going in that direction, I promise you.
No. Mark Martin has had a tough weekend. They lost 2 engines, 1 in their qualifying attempt, and to start this race back in 18th position, and now they're going underneath to look at the shift linkage and try to get them some forward gear.
And there they are in Mike Waltrip's pit with Mike's jack stands and stuff, and they got, there they go. They got it fixed.
Okay.
1 lap to go. We'll go green. Caution lap. It's not counting.
No, they didn't get it fixed. They let it down, and Mark couldn't get the car to move. So they're going to have to try it again. Now they're probably going to go through that procedure and put it in just strictly 4th gear. There's a guy up under the car. That's when I like to see them get those jack stands out there when they're working on them. There they go.
Tony Glover coming over to help out from the Kodak crew.
You know, that's one thing about Winston Cup racing. You think you'd ever see that in any other major sport where a guy that's got a race against him will come over and try to help?
He's hung in 2 gears right now. He's they manually put it probably in high gear, but it's still hung in the other gear it was in. So now he's locked up in 2 gears.
Remember, Wally Dallenbach's crew is the man climbing underneath. Of course, that's also a Jack Roush car. So from the front, from the penthouse to the outhouse, Davey Allison goes to the back of the field.
But boy, does that little outhouse he got run.
Does it ever. Jeff Bodine up front. They'll be looking for green this time around, and they'll leave Mark Martin's car on pit road, still trying to get in gear. In the garage area, Morgan Shepherd and Hut Strickland as a result of the lap 3 crash in the first 30-lap segment.
Now, this is the one that's going to be the race. The first segment just set it up. This should be the race right here.
Green flag. 30 laps, and at the end of this one, they'll start the final 10-lap shootout heads up.
I'm telling you, Richard Petty is right there behind Bodine. If he could take the lead right here.
Look at this crowd. I'm telling you that.
Richard's pulling up on him.
Here comes Richard Petty, Stock Car Racing's all-time winner. 200 career Winston Cup point race victories. Tracking Jeff Bodine, who is a young driver, hoped that someday he could graduate from the New England short tracks and come down when Richard retired and make his move up into Winston Cup racing in a Petty car. Didn't happen quite that way.
I got to tell you, he's not losing any ground. He's running really well.
And I tell you now, he's not losing any fans. The grandstand's about to go crazy right now with him running second.
Look on that back straightaway. They're throwing everything with the laundry at him.
Here's Petty going for it. Davey Allison moving up. Richard Petty had to look down low, nothing there. Davey Allison, Rusty Wallace, and Bill Elliott trying to climb up through, but look at the traffic jam ahead. There's Davey Allison looking ahead at Harry Gant. There's Rusty Wallace. Let's move up to 3rd place where Dale Earnhardt shown his muscle and gotten by Kyle Petty and Dave Mader. Earnhardt now 3rd and headed for the 2 leaders. Randy?
Well, Buddy Baker, particularly, you could understand this. I talked to crew chief Kirk Shelmerdine for Dale Earnhardt, and Kirk said that Dale said the car was a little tight in the corner, so what he did was take out the right front rubber. And, Buddy, you can tell the fans what the right front rubber is, and that should help Dale loosen the car up and be able to swing it through the corners a little bit.
Well, that's a little circle you put in between the springs, and it actually improves the rate on the spring about 200 pounds. So when you take it out, it lets it travel more and it unloads, so it really gets to the corner better.
Here comes Earnhardt, chomping on Richard Petty. Petty's last May Charlotte win, 1977, when he won the 600 here. Son Kyle won it 10 years later. Jeff Bodine out in front. From the pole in this 30-lap segment. I'll tell you, this has been an awful exciting race for one that hasn't had a lead change. Now look at the snarling pack of cars just behind this one. Wow. Alan Kulwicki, what a tight pack. Kenny Schrader's right there. Ernie Irvan drafting along. Dave Mader up on the outside, and Ricky Rudd.
One thing, Davey was making some good moves in the back when they weren't thinking about those guys that won the other race. But that side-by-side racing is really blocking the traffic.
Earnhardt for second place. Kyle Petty says, "See you, Dad," and goes right along with him.
Taking a look inside of Earnhardt in the same move.
And now it's a 4-car bunch at the front. Earnhardt started ninth. Second, Mark Martin has his car in gear. He is, however, 4 laps back. Looking for Jeff Bodine's car as Dale Earnhardt comes up on him for the lead, and Kyle Petty is right there as well.
Tried him on the outside. Dale tried the outside of him and lost ground there.
Look at this camera work. I guarantee you somebody's working overtime.
Pictures from the back bumper or the back of Jeff Bodine's car. Look at him dance around out there.
Yeah, he's a little bit loose now, but it's just what he likes.
That's Earnhardt. And here comes Kyle, and Richard not going to help him. He's going upstairs with Earnhardt. Now he's dropped down. And here's Kyle right up alongside Earnhardt. Ooh, they get together. And Earnhardt almost got up into the wall.
Touched just a little bit coming off 4 there.
And there's Kyle Petty drifting right in to fill up the rearview mirror of Jeff Bodine. Don't touch that camera, Kyle.
Here comes Kyle taking a look to the inside.
Are they giving Kyle a yacht or something? He's really on the move here.
Kyle Petty to the lead.
And Richard Petty coming right in behind him. Richard got around Dale. Here comes Dale back on the inside.
Earnhardt right back, and Ernie Irvan is there. And now it's the GM cars muscling up on the Fords. There's only one of them in the front pack, and that's Jeff Bodine. The only T-Bird at the front of the field in second place. Petty's Pontiac, Bodine's Ford, Earnhardt and Irvan in Chevrolets, then Richard Petty in a Pontiac, then Schrader and Kulwicki. A look at ninth place, where Bill Elliott has had trouble getting back to the front up against the Max Race Cards Ford of Dave Mader.
That's just a good idea what track position means right there. Those faster cars cannot get back to the front right now.
One thing, too, buddy, you know yourself, in traffic, the air really affects the car. When they're up front, they're on that clean air, and they're having to race in all that traffic, not only obstacles on the course, but dealing with that moving air.
Riding with Rusty Wallace. Bill Elliott just ahead. Kulwicki in front of him and Schrader. Penske Racing Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. Beer battle right here. Elliott on the high side. Wallace, who was one of the quickest cars on the track in this afternoon's practice, in car 2. First to second now, half a second. As Kyle Petty steps out ahead of Dale Earnhardt. And we watch this battle.
Bill Elliott made a real strong move on the outside of Kulwicki off the second turn and made the pass.
Elliott's coming. Davey Allison not having quite as good luck with the traffic. Rusty Wallace, the '89 winner of this race after a controversial last lap pass. Looking to the outside just a bit on Alan Kulwicki.
You know what? That makes you want to put on the brakes right there. That's so real. Look at fuel pressure and all hopping there on the right gauge.
There's Elliott moving up to the outside. Going around Richard.
And looking at Kenny Schrader. Wallace battling Ricky Rudd, and Davey Allison biding his time. We're 11 laps down, make it 12 now from 30 laps. 12 complete. Earnhardt and Irvin. Second and third place. 18 laps to go in this segment. Plenty of time.
You're there, second position. Ernie down inside of Dale down the back straightaway. Boy, is that not a neat shot in the lights and bright colors on all these cars?
Dale didn't think so. Irvin looks like he's tied to a string.
I tell you, that car is flying.
Now first to second, 1.5 seconds from Kyle Petty back to Ernie Irvin. Richard Petty still holding his own in 8th place. Second and third here.
There is no more inverting or anything else. They'll start the next segment the way they are now.
That's right. Davey Allison trying to move his way up through traffic. That's Rusty Wallace and Richard Petty ahead.
Ricky Rudd just to the right side. He's on the inside of Ricky Rudd. He's been there several times. He just hasn't been able to clear Ricky, get down in the corner. And I don't see Ricky on the right side of the shot. He might have cleared him this time.
10th place for Davey Allison. Look at those cars dance right on the edge of control.
Look at that thing accelerate, Neil.
Yeah, he jumped right up there, right by Rusty Wallace, and now he's got these other two directly in front of him.
Richard Petty just ahead. It was 85 degrees mid-afternoon. It's now dropped to 67 out there.
And that means horsepower. When the temperature starts coming down, these cars get stronger and stronger. The racing should get stronger.
Richard Petty and Alan Kulwicki battle side by side. Wallace and Davey Allison just have to bide their time. Here comes old EW.
I tell you what, Davey Allison almost spun that car out this thing.
Looked like he got real loose. Yeah, sure did, buddy. And, you know, it might be like we were talking about earlier. By itself, the car's good. In traffic, it's really giving him a little bit of a handful.
And Darrell Waltrip was right up there with him. Look at Rusty Wallace saw the wheel down in the left corner of the screen. See him work the wheel as he tracks down Alan Kulwicki and Richard Petty. There's Davey Allison. View from his in-car camera. He's underneath Ricky Rudd now. Drops it low in the corner.
That's where he's had that trouble. When he gets in there low like that, the car seems to get just a little bit loose on him.
Folks, if you want to know where a Ford's strong, it just shows you there. Center of the corner of the straightaway is where the Ford really picks up on its own motor's car.
A lot of acceleration.
But Ricky Rudd is still exactly alongside Davey Allison. And he's not giving an inch.
Well, once you see, when you're in a race car and you see that guy have a little bit of a problem, you don't say, excuse me, you try to create more problem for him. So if you see he can't run on the inside, you try to just keep dishing it out.
See, he drove Earnhardt's car one day this week, and you hear his philosophy now?
No, that's always been the way.
Kyle Petty leads this second segment of the Winston. It's just past halfway. 13 laps to go, and they'll drop the checker once more and prepare for the shootout. Laps to go in this second segment, but back behind him. Oh, look at this. Richard Petty and Alan Kulwicki are still side by side. Rusty and Davey Allison in the 2 and 28 right with him.
I'm telling you, this is exciting to watch. And I tell you, Kyle Petty was asking a lot of questions in the driver's meeting today, and I said, no better than you running. Why are you asking so many questions? Now I know. He had a little something for him.
Davey on the inside of Rusty, but these two side by side. Nowhere else, Neil, for anybody to run.
I'm telling you, Richard Petty is racing Kulwicki's car. We were talking about how good it runs. And Richard, this is the 8th lap. They ran totally side by side. It looks like a heat race on a quarter-mile racetrack there, side by side the whole pack.
And they're closing in on Jeff Bodine, racing this way. Buddy, Chad from Traverse City called in on our 800 number, wanted to know if having an in-car microphone was a distraction for you.
Not at all. I don't even have to take my hands off the wheel, mash a button or anything. You guys really did your homework. I could just talk and it come right over the network, and no, I like it in there.
Well, we'll try it again sometime, I hope. What a battle. And Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace must be frustrated. I'm not sure these two cars are holding them up, but they've got no place to go.
I got to tell you something else. It's hard to run underneath a car like that and not get sideways. Richard Petty's car is really handling well.
Richard Petty's been at this for nearly 30 years. Look at him run.
Yeah.
Oh, Rusty.
Rusty got real loose there, slipped, and that's going to enable Davey to get by. He hasn't been able to do that all night with those two guys right there. He's been hung up with Ricky Rudd.
There's Mark Martin 6 laps down, but right in the middle of it, running hard with Darrell Waltrip there.
But the next rung on the ladder is 2 abreast also.
Richard got the left front down on the bottom of the racetrack and just about kicked the car away.
Excuse me?
He lost 2 foot on that little move. He kept pedaling, didn't he?
He'll come back. That car must be handling good if you can run the flat and run that fast.
Yes. He's coming right back at Kulwicki.
Oh, watch it, Richard.
And now Davey Allison to the outside. 6 to go in this second segment.
You know what, Neil? I can't believe how Davey does. You know, he's just taking his time. He just cut the game off. But he's running awfully well. And I tell you, he's not. You know, he knows his next section's where the cabbage is at.
That was a pick and roll. Davey Allison used Michael Waltrip as a pick and pinned the king behind him, and away he went.
He's got to, he needs to get back a couple more cars. With this last segment with just 10 laps, the positioning in this segment here is going to be the key.
Davey Allison is up to 8th. Pole sitter, fastest car here for much of the week. He's in 8th spot. Now running Jeff Bodine.
He's down 7th spot. Looking at 6th.
Kyle Petty leads it. Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, and then this pack. Darrell Waltrip's come up well. He's been doing it on the outside.
Yeah, I know that he's running higher than anybody else here, but, you know, whatever works, that's what you have to do.
He's tacked right on to Davey Allison. You know, it's kind of fitting that you would never see Darrell until you get down toward the finish, and there he is.
Yeah, well, he knows something about Charlotte. All you got to do is look at the races he's won here all the time.
Jeff Bodine down to the inside now. Richard Petty's moved past, and Rusty Wallace never made it through that knot of traffic. He's back behind Bodine.
We never did mention that Mark Martin is back in the race, but I think he lost several laps.
He is 6 laps behind.
Okay.
Mike Waltrip is 2 laps back. Dale Jarrett's gone to the garage, joining Morgan Shepherd and Hut Strickland. There's Harry Gant coming up on Jeff Bodine as Rusty Wallace moves by. 3 to go. 2 laps to go in this segment next time by.
Boy, I tell you, Kyle Petty checked that up. Felix must have made him a big money offer. Petty, we got to find out what the deal is.
They give him something every time he wins. I don't know what it is, but it'll be fantastic. I can't wait to read about it.
Could be the condo.
2 laps to go. Then they'll take a 4-lap break. Pit stops if they want without losing position, and then the 10-lap shootout to decide it all. Kyle Petty looking at $50,000 1 lap from now for winning the second segment. Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt just kind of staying hooked up. Then Schrader. Then a long gap back to Bill Elliott, who cleared all the traffic but couldn't run down the leaders.
I'm picking Kyle to win this segment.
Thank you, Karnak.
They've been asking me all day who thought we'd start the second segment. And these guys have got a good chance for second and third.
1 lap to go.
The best I can do.
The last lap. Out of turn number 4 for $50,000. The Felix Sabates Mellow Yellow Pontiac. Kyle Petty gets 50 grand. Ernie Irvin, $15,000 per second. Dale Earnhardt for third. Margin 1.78 seconds first to second. And the next segment they will start straight up.
I know one thing, and this is not a 9-point race, but that's the first GM win against the strong fleet of Fords all year long. So even though it was an invert, they might as well enjoy it while they can.
That's for sure. So Kyle Petty picks up $50,000, and we'll be ready for the final 10-lap shootout on one hot night right after these messages on TNN. We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, getting set for the final 10-lap shootout here in the Winston. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker topside. Randy Pemberton, Glenn Jarrett on pit road. Neil, the Carson people called. They tell me the Karnak is taken, so we're going to have to call you Car Crash the Magnificent if you're going to keep making these predictions.
I tell you, it's the best prediction I made in months, and you took light.
Sorry. Here's our Iglo in-car camera on Jeff Bodine and the Budmore Motorcraft Ford.
You could hardly tell. Look at all this.
That thing's decaled to death, isn't it? Pretty good. Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace want to thank all 3 of those race teams for carrying our onboard cameras tonight. as one hot night continues. I like this racing under the lights on a super speedway. I think this looks great.
Mike, I was just fixing to say, how in the world can anybody look at that facility right there and say, you couldn't put one more light on it and make it any better than it is?
There's Dale Earnhardt. Let's have a look at how the lineup, so folks you watching at home can handicap the field and figure out who's going to take home the money. Kyle Petty's Pontiac, Ernie Irvin's Chevrolet, Dale Earnhardt and Kenny Schrader in Chevys. That's row 2. There the Fords, Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, Alan Kulwicki, and Darrell Waltrip Chevy in 8. Ricky Rudd Chevrolet, Richard Petty's Pontiac, Pontiac for Rusty Wallace, and an Olds for Harry Gant. Jeff Bodine's Ford, Terry Labonte's Chevy, Dave Mader's Ford, and Mike Waltrip 2 laps down. Mark Martin is 6 laps in arrears. Dale Jarrett, Morgan Shepherd, and Hut Strickland have gone to the garage. Wipe of the windshield for Darrell.
I saw them around. Looked like they were either cleaning the grill off or something on the front of the car. Also, it might be a little bit warm. I saw them pulling tape off, it looked like. How could it be?
Now they're able to make pit stops under this period, this hiatus, without losing their position.
Right, he'll go right back where he's running. Checker flag come out.
The winner of this segment, of course, gets the trophy, gets to kiss everybody in Victory Lane, and gets $200,000.
I don't know about the kissing part, but the 200,000 sounds pretty good to me. There's no telling who's in Victory Lane.
1 lap to go, we'll go racing. Kyle Petty has already knocked down 50 grand for winning the second segment. Glenn Jarrett.
Mike, I'm in Davey Allison's pit right now. Larry McReynolds is here. Larry, the car didn't seem to be quite as good that time. A lot of traffic to maneuver, but you still had to make a chassis adjustment.
Yeah, we just keep trying to work on it, to make it better. It wasn't quite as good as it was the first segment, but we didn't really have to race nobody the first segment. That makes a difference. So we got to race them now for 10 laps, and we'll see what we got.
You think you got enough for them?
I don't know. There's some strong cars up there in them top 5 slots.
All right, another interested party down there, Randy Pemberton.
Well, I've got an interesting party and an interested part in this. Robin, my brother, did a good job on that last pit stop for these guys. What'd you do to the car to make it better?
We just made a spring adjustment in the right rear and knocked some spoiler out of it. I'm just here hanging out with these guys. It's nothing that I did. It's good team effort. I hope it works out for everybody.
What about the 10-lap sprint? Can he do the same as he did in the 30 laps?
I hope so. Track position means a lot. Ernie's he's pretty spunky, and so is Dale. So we'll just see what happens.
What's Kyle get from Felix if he wins?
I guess we're going to run next week, too.
He gets to borrow Felix's car one more week.
And if he loses, he has to run next week.
That's right.
10 laps, folks. $200,000 is on the line. Made your picks. Kyle Petty's on the pole. Ernie Irvin is right alongside. Dale Earnhardt and Kenny Schrader. Elliott, Allison, Kulwicki, Waltrip, and on back. Green flag. 10 laps to decide bragging rights for a whole year. And it's Kyle Petty, and here comes Earnhardt on the bottom.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if Kyle can make a break with Dale and Ernie Irvin side by side, he might get a little bit of distance on the whole pack.
Now Schrader, watch the white car in 4th place. He's right in the middle of the corner, and that gets the 2 Fords blocked up right behind him. However, these 2 Chevys are not going to go single file.
Buddy, we've seen this over and over. 2 cars get side by side, and they don't have to do this for just a few laps. And look at Kyle Petty pulling away.
It's about a half a second difference per lap when you're running side by side and out and clean air by yourself.
Davey Allison moving up to battle that squadron of Chevrolets. Schrader, the white car, Earnhardt in black, and Ernie Irvin in yellow.
I doubt seriously any one of the GM cars is going to move over and they need the Fords about to run Kyle down. They're going to make him have to work for everything again. Coach Davey up on the outside. Said they made a chassis adjustment. Ernie really loose up on the top.
And Schrader and Allison collide. Hold your breath, folks, for about 8 more laps.
Yeah, and I tell you who's holding his breath is Kyle Petty. He is checking out while they're doing this 3 abreast. Let's count 3 across. Let's try 4. There's one trying to get in the middle there.
Davey, I'm going to look at that.
Davey just couldn't wait any longer. He had to go for the bottom of the racetrack, and boom, goodbye. Well, these dogs can fight for the scraps. That's all that's left. Oh, Waltrip in the grab.
Oh, this one's not going to straighten out. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, he is. He's been there before.
I'm telling you what.
He's gone.
Oh. Darrell?
Whoa.
He missed Elmo.
What a piece of driving.
Missed the pace car.
They're not going to put the caution flag out.
Oh,
that's
man.
what Kyle Petty is stalling. There it comes. There it comes. They put the caution flag out. That's going to put him back on Kyle.
And Kyle Petty had checked out by about 1.2 seconds. Look at this battle back to the flag. Out of turn 4, they're all stacked up, way behind Kyle Petty. Wow.
Well,
6 laps to go.
Now, I'll tell you what, that caution right there is a big factor because Kyle would have been tough to run down.
We're under caution, and we'll be right back. This thing is far from over, folks. Don't you dare move. Enjoying the Winston from inside the Speedway Club high atop Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we are here, and we hope you are all across the country on NASCAR's country home, the Nashville Network. Out in the grandstand, they're having a great time. Down on pit road, they're all holding their breath. And they will for 7 more laps. Now, during this caution period, Ernie Irvin, Richard Petty, Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine, and Darrell Waltrip all came in and made pit stops.
Well, you talk about a critical restart. And when they redo this thing for $200 grand, there's going to be some shifting gears and winding some motors up.
To remind you that Kyle Petty was ahead of Dale Earnhardt by 1.1 seconds before that caution flag. And the light is still on the safety car. We'll get 1 more lap. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Mike, they're a little nervous, a little concerned down here in Davey Allison's pit still. They made that chassis adjustment to try to get the car back to normal. Davey says the car still has just a little bit of a push, but it's not bad enough to bring it in and give up that all-important track position with only 7 laps left. They don't know whether he can do it or not. Davey seems to think that he can.
Darrell Waltrip's car is okay after that spin. Twirled out through the grass, and we're getting set to go restart. And here we go again, folks. Double file restarts. Saturday night short track style. There's Darrell Waltrip. He's okay after making the pit stops. Here's another look. Look at this jam session.
A couple of them got together. Man, he went across there. But he had the car just about under control, and it came back out from under him on this next road right here.
Took a big bounce here.
Yep. Really kicked him around.
Got him. Yep.
You think Elmo was holding his breath? Elmo Langley, the pace car driver? He's just to the left of Darrell there. Just barely.
Elmo's been closer than that before. He'll get in there and mix it up with you, too, in his day, wouldn't he, buddy?
I guarantee you. I can't believe he shot. Look at all the gauges.
I'll tell you, it's a nightmare. I'm telling you, I'm not so sure it's better than day racing. It's so much better than just the clarity on everything we have.
To remind you, earlier tonight, one of our 800 number calls, Robbie Faggart won the Winston 100 for Sportsman Cars over Dennis Setzer and Freddie Query, Mark Cox and Peter Gibbons. Mike Waltrip and Hut Strickland transferred into this race by finishing 1-2 in the Winston Open ahead of Greg Sachs, Dick Trickle, and Jimmy Hensley. Getting set for green.
This is an engine builder's nightmare. You're fixing to see some RPMs on shifting gears. They'll twist these motors out of the frame with just a few laps to go to try to get a good start.
Looking for green. Kyle Petty inside, Dale Earnhardt outside, and Davey Allison restarting third. We're back to green. 7 laps to go. Now let's see how strong Kyle is in the corner if he can get away from Earnhardt.
You better watch this 28. I'm telling you, that car is accelerating.
Earnhardt took the lead around Kyle, but there comes the 28 up the inside like a rocket.
With nobody to draft with, he's going to pop up into second place. Kyle just did not get away down there. Earnhardt, Allison, Petty, Schrader, Kulwicki, and Rudd. One car bounces off the wall. Could that have been Rusty Wallace? Dave Mader.
Yeah, Mader squared the side of the car up.
Drops to the rear. 6 laps to go.
Boy, that Ford of Davies now.
Ricky Rudd caught up high. Drops a spot.
They better gang up on that 28 if they plan to beat him. But I tell you one thing. You see that 3 car out there, that's one of the toughest cars in the world to beat in this kind of race anyhow.
It's probably going to take a combination. It's going to take Dale running as hard as he can, and Kyle Petty put some heat on the second place car also.
A lot of heat in midfield as Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine battle. Rusty Wallace getting worked side by side right behind them. And up front, it's heating up. Here comes Kyle.
Kyle making a move to the inside.
And here comes Kulwicki with him.
Now, this is if they get racing side by side, Dale's going to break away on they start this.
4 laps to go.
Good touch. Kyle and Davey hit.
But Kyle completed the pass. And Davies dropped back about 3 car lengths. Kulwicki's going to make a run on him. Kulwicki and Schrader side by side now. That's 4th place.
Davies got a lot of push in this car. He's on the bottom. He's using a lot of brake to hold it down here, but he just cannot go in the center part of the car.
There's Alan Kulwicki running Kenny Schrader hard. That's for 4th place. Chevy versus Ford. Chevy, Pontiac, Ford, Chevy, and Ford. 3 laps to go.
I'll tell you what, Kyle's pulling up on Dale. His car works well on the bottom of the racetrack.
You know yourself, but catching him is one thing, passing him is another.
It's the name of the game.
Nobody has won this race more than once except Dale Earnhardt, 87 and 90.
Kyle's car right here on the bottom. We got a picture right here with Kulwicki racing side by side, but Kyle was able to gain the 3 and 4 on Dale.
Great side-by-side battle for Ford. Kulwicki and Schrader. 2 to go. Bill Elliott pulling up right with them. And up front, Earnhardt and Kyle Petty are separated now by only 2 car lengths.
Wow.
Davey Allison shuffled back a bit, but he's gaining.
This is only right. Saturday night racing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's going to come down to the last lap.
You stretch this field like a big rubber band, and it's got to snap back together again, and that's just what it's doing. White flag, 1 lap to go.
He's going to get a shot at him.
Kyle Petty is there. He is just a car length back of Earnhardt. Davey Allison coming up, but I don't think will be a factor. Kyle just hauls it off the corner. He's got the inside. He's up to Earnhardt's bumper. Earnhardt takes it.
They're on the racing service down on the flat part of the racetrack.
And it's Kyle Petty. Kyle Petty coming to the checkered flag. Here comes Davey Allison to the bottom. It'll be the finish everybody was waiting for. They crashed past the finish line. They have crashed into turn number 1. And Davey Allison is in a shower of sparks.
He won the race, but he sure paid the price for it.
What a finish, Mike, I'm telling you. The lead swapped 3 times on the last quarter mile of the racetrack.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Talk about one hot night. Oh, we got to look at this again. And we'll be back to do it right after these messages. Did this live up to its billing or what? Exclusive live coverage of the Winston is being brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. A hot night of racing under a full moon, and it ends unbelievably. Davey Allison is pinned in his Texaco Haviland Ford. They're going to have to remove some sheet metal to get him out and get him to victory lane. And that finish, Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, Davey Allison, just unbelievable. Let's have another look.
This was after they got together. They tangled up going into 3rd turn. Dale goes high. Kyle got down under him. They made contact going into 3, and this started.
Alan Kulwicki had to slam on the brakes, and he finally got out of it. Here's the finish.
Kyle Petty coming to the line. They get together right there.
Ooh.
And it's not over yet.
Oh, he hit hard.
Slam the driver's side up there pretty good against the door. They might just be taking precaution. Davey's ribs had been bothering a good little bit anyway. They might just be really careful getting him out.
I noticed something there. He released the brake, so he was conscious. He released the brake. You notice the wheel turning, and then he locked it back.
So he was driving it when it rolled to a stop. There is a huge commotion around the Kyle Petty and Dale Earnhardt cars at the gas pumps,
to say the least,
where the cars come after a race is over, before post-race inspection.
That machine they're using right there on Davey's car, you can see it just snips those roll bars in 2, and they'll just lift him directly out through the top of the car. See him in there moving around.
Here's Randy Pemberton.
Well, we're down here with Dale Earnhardt. Dale, there's been some exciting finishes of this race, none more so than this one. What happened up there between you and Kyle, and what else did you see?
Well, it didn't much happen between Kyle and I. I think it happened between Dave and them. We pushed just a bit off, too, and Kyle got his nose under us. And, you know, that's all it was. I tried to hold him down the back straightaway. And we went in 3 down there. He just took a little more than I wanted to give, and that's all it was to it.
Are those the rules of the Winston?
I don't know about the rules. As racing, he was trying to win. I was, too.
Okay, thanks, Dale. Maybe next year. Okay. Two-time winner, Dale Earnhardt.
Now, there's a gentleman. Here's a fellow who had a great time.
He actually, I believe he got in there, just got in there real hot. You know, Kyle's right there. Just like I said, we saw him down the back straightaway, totally off the racetrack on the apron racing to protect that spot, and they just used up the room. And here it looks like Kyle got a little bit loose right there, and lets Davey get his foot in the door. And once you get the foot in the door, I don't guess you're going to take it. These two really slam together.
There, and then he looks like he got him back right in there. Yeah.
Well, the first of that was racing, but the second part?
No comment.
Hard to say. I'm sure in a heat of battle, anything can happen. And tonight, everything happened.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think either one of them would do that on purpose.
No.
If they bump together, and I tell you, you don't know what a car does after you touch like that. They could run back into each other, and it looks like he meant to do it. And certainly, I'm sure he didn't mean to do that to David.
Well, there's our race winner, though that's not victory lane. We'll get there in a little bit. Randy?
I'm here with Kyle Petty. Kyle, you drove your heart out. You tried to do what you had to do there in the last lap. What happened?
Well, you know, I got up under Dale. He pushed out the lap before that down and coming off 2. And I got up under him, and he run me all the way down the inside, and it bottomed out hard, man. And when we went in 3, we just had a bad angle going in 3, and you couldn't get a good run going in 3. And his car got out from under him, and I had to wait on him, and I had a bad run, and Davey got a good, really good run at me. And there was just nothing I could do with Davey, you know. And we beat and banged all the way down through here, and as we come across the line, then he ended up trying to take me out a little further, and he spun around in front of me, and it was my fault. I probably should have backed out before then.
Kyle, your best finish in the Winston's been about a 12th. You got to feel pleased about the way that car worked.
Well, yeah, it worked really good. You know, I can't say enough about Robin Pemberton and John Wilson. You know, the motor was great. It was a little hot the first 30 laps, and the car pushed. And we come in, we took some tape off the front, and Robin made a few adjustments, you know, they worked. And they worked really good the second 30 laps. And we made one more adjustment that worked really good the last 10 laps, and we just come up short.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Let's go back upstairs to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Randy. Now, I did not mean to imply that Kyle had turned Davey around. 2 cars racing hard and trying to get squared away there, and things happen. Davey Allison has been helped from his car, and rather than victory lane, he's going to be transported over to the infield care center. Larry McReynolds is going to make the trip with him, and our pit reporters will talk to somebody on that crew and get an update from the scene. But what a wild ending to Stock Car Racing's all-star event. And look at the grandstand. The race is over, folks, but nobody's leaving.
Mike, you know yourself, usually when the checkered flag falls, the place empties, and everybody runs to get out of this big traffic jam. And this thing, there's very few people have left the race. They don't realize the race is over.
I think everybody's just stunned, Neil, as we are sitting up here. We're going to have another look at that last lap from turn number 2 and all the way around. And just have a look at what happened and what led to this wild finish. Here's the final lap.
You know, Dale said himself, and they said that Dale pushed up, see him push up high right there. That enables Kyle to get down. Well, Dale's coming over, and that gray area is off the racing surface. They're down on the apron. They get in the corner right here. Dale's car, the back end comes out from under. Kyle said he had to lift at that point. That lets Davey really get the momentum up. Boy, they did a good job missing him. And they're coming to the line right here, and they just get together coming to the line. They tag right at the start-finish line.
And I don't think going into turn 3 that Kyle Petty touched Earnhardt.
And I don't think that guy was holding number 1 up either, just saying to somebody.
Somebody's number 1. There's the aftermath.
Everybody has their own opinions.
I know why everybody's sitting here. They want to see how David's doing.
Yep.
I guarantee you.
Well, I've just never been at a racetrack that when it was over that everybody didn't leave. And I would say 85% of the people are still here. There's Robert Yates standing there. Larry McReynolds was there when Davey left, so hopefully
I will say this, too. When you see them putting him in the ambulance like that with all the equipment on him, they do that for precaution. That does not mean that he's in that kind of...
Buddy, you and I both know that if there's a facility that takes care of the drivers right here at Charlotte, they really work on all their equipment here, and if he had sprained his wrist, they're going to wrap it up. They're going to put him on that stretcher and take him to that hospital and take a look at him.
They have a huge pyrotechnic display scheduled for Victory Lane, and right now the celebration is without its guest of honor.
Not only that, they said there's going to be a fireworks display on the back straightaway. It's going to last forever. And I hadn't seen a firecracker go off.
We just had it on the front straightaway.
Yeah, we sure had fireworks over here also.
It looked like it lasted forever. Davey Allison has won the Winston. What a finish. We'll be right back.
We're getting some reaction from the fans. We have some Kyle Petty fans behind us. We have some Davey Allison fans over here.
I'm telling you, one of the best ways to get the story on what happened is to go to our racing experts. Here's one of them, Mike Joy.
Katie, we're all still trying to figure it out. And look at the crowd is here. They're awaiting word on Davey Allison. We've heard from Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Petty. And gentlemen, looking at the replays up in turn number 3, to me it did not appear as if Kyle got into Dale Earnhardt.
Well, I think you heard Dale stand right there and tell everybody there was just hard racing. He moved over to the inside, protected the lane, and made Kyle go in real low. They both pinched their car down so low in the corner they couldn't make the entry they wanted to. And Kyle lost momentum. Dale slid the back end out, and it was from there on, it was all just up in the air.
Here's a look at it.
This is the part where they were talking about moving over. They got way down the bottom of the racetrack. The proper entry to the corner is from the outside of the wall and dive low. They couldn't make that entry. You don't even see Davey Allison in the picture. What happened is this move protected it, didn't Buddy?
Right at that area, it's hard to see whether he might have given him a little brush or not. I don't think he did. What he did, he got so close that it took the air off the rear of the spoiler there and let the car get real light getting into the corner.
And then when Kyle rolls out of the throttle, Davey Allison is right there. And we go to the finish. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Guys, behind me is the infield medical center. Davey Allison was brought in by ambulance to the infield medical center. Crew Chief Larry McReynolds sent word to me that Davey Allison is okay. So all the fans, Davey Allison fans, can rest assured that Davey is all right. He also sent word to find Davey's wife and let her know that Davey is okay.
Well, he and Robert Yates and that group are going to get to cash about $300,000 tonight. 50 for winning the pole, 50 for winning a segment, and $200,000 for winning the end of it. I'm still trying to puzzle this out.
I'm telling you, you know, that's such a shame to see that car have such a bitter end there. That car has won every race that it's ever run here at Charlotte, except one, and it run a terrible second then. And it's just, you know, it's been a great race car, and I certainly hope, and I know Neil, I mean, he's seen David grow up. I'm not sure you want him to be well, and I think he's okay. He was moving his hands and all when he got out of the car.
Yeah, I think Davey's going to be okay. They wouldn't tell you that, but what you start looking at then is next week up here, $1 million on the line, and that car there was the guy that really had a shot at doing it.
Well, buddy, 3 different drivers thought they had this one at some point during the last lap. I know you've been there.
Well, I tell you, when you have that much money up, and this is a shootout, you know, and as you look at the replays, it was easy to say this guy did that and that guy did that, and then you really analyze it and you see, well, everybody didn't make a mistake. Maybe Earnhardt wasn't touched. He just drove his heart out, you know, trying to win the race, and the car got around on him. On the front straightaway, when those 2 cars hit the first time, you don't know what might happen from there on. It was just a lot of good, hard racing, and unfortunately, Davey got in the worst end of it, but he did win the race, and I'm sure that Davey, you know, he was injured a couple of weeks back, so that had a lot to do with the injury that he occurred tonight. I mean, if he'd have been healthy as he normally is, I don't think he would have been hurt quite as much as he was.
Well, they said expect the unexpected. Everybody got their nickels worth.
I'll tell you what, Keith, I guess the key, Mike, is we wasn't playing dominoes, we're racing.
That's for sure. We'll be back with more from Charlotte Motor Speedway on one hot night after this. Has been brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste, so get out of the old, get into the cold. By Goodyear, the unanimous choice of every NASCAR Winston Cup team. And by Fram Oil Filters. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later. In 1976, when David Pearson won the Daytona 500 after a last lap crash with Richard Petty, they ran what was left of his car to victory lane. They did the same thing for Benny Parsons at Rockingham when they clinched the Winston Cup championship. And tonight, on the flatbed, Davey Allison's car is going to victory lane. Glenn?
Well, Mike, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. They're unloading that beaten, battered Ford Thunderbird up here in victory lane. I guess a car that's had that much success here, they weren't going to deny it one final trip. to victory lane. Well, as Neil said, or as Randy said, all the word is good about Davey. We have latest word that he is on his way up here, but right now the car is receiving all the accolades. They're moving it in on the hoist. It's going to be here in victory lane waiting on Davey. I really hate to see that happen to that race car because it was really fantastic here, but I don't think we'll see it next week or anytime soon for that matter.
Well, it's a $300,000 race car tonight. There's Robert Yates, the car owner.
Robert Yates was telling him to take the car out of victory lane. He didn't want to drag it off.
He's got to have mixed feelings. Let's have another look at what happened on the last lap on one hot night.
Okay, Earnhardt pushed out a little bit, and Kyle went to the bottom. He ran him all the way down in the stay drive there, and they were very close getting into this corner. I don't think he touched him. He took a little air off the spoiler there. Neil coming down for the...
And here we go. They come into the start-finish line. There was Davey getting to the inside. They clipped right across the start-finish line, and he just couldn't keep the car under him and turned it around and backed it up in the wall. And that was the hot Saturday night right there, one hot night with all the sparks.
We'll take you down through the order of finish. Dale Earnhardt did not make it across the line, so Kyle Petty finishes second. Kenny Schrader, Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott came up to fifth at the finish. Rusty Wallace, Alan Kulwicki, Ernie Irvin, Richard Petty, and Terry Labonte. Then Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine, Earnhardt awarded 14th as Michael Waltrip was 2 laps down, and Mark Martin further back. Dave Mader, there's Martin, and the 3 cars that finished this event in the garage area. They are going to conduct the victory lane ceremonies. Robert Yates is there representing the Texaco Haviland team. Glenn Jarrett's in the middle of that tumult somewhere. Tried to get the car in, and I guess they couldn't. It wouldn't roll in off the rollback truck. Unbelievable.
Mike, it looked like the guy that stopped it. They were backing the car off the truck, and Robert Yates motioned for him to load it up and carry it on back down.
Let's find out from Glenn Jarrett.
We're standing by with Robert Yates, the team owner. First of all, we want to know, is Davey okay?
Yeah, Davey's okay. It did knock him out, momentarily, but he says he's fine. He won who won the race. He, gave a big thumbs up when we told him he won. They're going to take him over to the hospital, and they've got a neck brace on him, but he says he feels okay. Everything's working all right. But, they'll do all the scans and x-rays and try to get him ready for the 600.
Well, the next order of things is to say congratulations on a great victory. Have you ever seen anything like that in all your years of racing?
I've seen a lot of action, more than I like to see. That's a little bit more than I wanted to see. It's a little bit easier to take since we did win, but we need to work on the car and make it a little bit better. We don't like to run that close with other cars.
Well, what about poor old 007? Doesn't look like it'll be around for a while.
Well, we've just built a brand new car at the shop, and same guys that built 007 built this car, and probably put some little new technology, little 92 stuff in it. Maybe it'll be better than 007.
Well, thanks a lot, Robert. Congratulations again. These folks want to celebrate.
Glenn, we're going to go down to the grandstand in a second, but Buddy Baker makes an interesting point. That race car had a chance to earn Robert and Davey an even bigger purse.
Yeah, he's going for $1 million here in the World 600, and that was their trump card. That's their best race car, and also Davey Allison's injured a little bit, so that's a very, when he says mixed emotions, I know where he's coming from.
And that's the Winston Million, any driver who wins 3 of the big 4. And Davey Allison has won 2 of them, Daytona and Talladega already. Let's go back down to the Speedway Club. T.G. Shepard, Katie Haas.
Well, Mike, T.G., why don't we ask this crowd, did y'all have one hot night? I believe they did.
I had a good time.
This was a fantastic night, and there's still a whole lot of fans in the grandstand.
Well, it was a historic night. Under the lights made it even more spectacular.
It did look all the more awesome under the light. And another thing that I noticed tonight, a lot of people in the stands taking the pictures. It looked like fireworks going off constantly. So this was definitely
I've been going to races
freezing.
15 years. I've never been to one that's more exciting. I mean, the finish, I think, just says the whole day, topped off the whole day.
Well, T.G., a whole lot of people enjoyed meeting you tonight.
Well, I had a good time. I really did. I hope to do it again.
Well, you will. And hopefully more under the lights right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're hoping maybe we could get a little fireworks in there tonight.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Hopefully that will work. We're not sure. We're going to see.
I don't know if they'll remember seeing them fireworks or not.
Yeah, I would think we've seen plenty of fireworks tonight already. Mike, back to you.
I think we have, Katie, and thanks to both of you for a great job running around there with the fans and giving us an extra special viewpoint of this event. You see these great lights around Charlotte Motor Speedway? Well, I promise you, nothing like this has ever been attempted, and we thought we'd give you a look inside how the lighting of Charlotte came to be. Joe Crookham and Myron Gordon's Musco Lighting Company have won Academy Awards and Emmys. They've lit the Super Bowl, the Statue of Liberty, and the baseball field and Field of Dreams, but no one had ever attempted a project like this.
This would be the equivalent of about 10 or more Super Bowls simultaneously. I guess I can put it in some perspective. It was, I believe, 24 semi-loads of equipment that it took to put the lighting in down here. And as far as total magnitude of the project, you know, there's more lights down here than there are street lights in our hometown of 10,000 people back in Iowa.
The 2 million watts of light are produced by 1,200 fixtures. There's over 75 miles of wiring, 160 tons of steel, and they do this all with mirrors. 2 miles of mirrors, because Myron had to keep the lights out of the eyes of both the drivers and the spectators.
You need to have light basically in the direction that you're looking. And for the drivers, that's one direction. For the spectators, for TV people, that's another direction. So the mirrors are designed to give very pinpoint lighting, very precise cutoff, so that we can get light available for all those uses.
The technology developed for the Charlotte Motor Speedway could end up being technology that affects roadways all over the country.
Look at the grandstand here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The people here still a bit stunned from this amazing finish, and they are not leaving. They're sitting here just kind of sharing the moment among themselves and talking about what happened, maybe about what might have happened if things had been different, and they have memories they'll keep for a long time. I think T.G. Shepard said it best right at the top of the telecast. He says, if you're not a race fan, in 4 hours you will be. Buddy?
Well, all I got to say is I've been to many, many, many races in my lifetime, and I don't think I've ever seen anything as exciting as tonight's race.
Now, for a fellow who climbed out of his car, kissed it, and jumped on top of winning the Daytona 500, that's something.
Well, I tell you, what else could have happened? I mean, this was excitement. That's what the Winston is, excitement.
Glenn Jarrett?
Well, I have to go along with everything you guys are saying. I've been coming to races here at Charlotte Speedway for a long, long time. I've never seen a finish like that, never seen a spectacle like this. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of races at night, particularly from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Randy?
Well, this race was designed to do just what it did today, this evening. It's the thrill of victory for some, it's Davey Allison and their team, and the agony of defeat for others, and they proved it here tonight in the Winston.
Neil Bonnet?
Mike, I tell you what, I think that the fans, the reason they're sitting there like they are right now is they wait and they keep thinking Davey Allison is going to come to victory lane. They want to see him come in victory lane, and we were just told that they took him out here in a helicopter to check him. They saw the helicopter leave a while ago, and everybody stood up and gave a big round of applause, and they wasn't even sure he was in it. So I think everybody's shell-shocked. It was a heck of a darn race, I tell you.
Davey has been transported to the hospital for observation, hopefully just as a precaution. He won't be going to victory lane. They have to give away all that money without him. But, fellas, maybe for the closing music of this, we got some neat music picked out, but maybe we ought to have Hammers Can't Touch This, because I don't think you could. I don't think you could do anything that could equal this.
Well, the last time Davey Allison run a race car when he was hurt, he won the race at Wilkesboro, so he'll be here. He's a tough little fella, and all of us, I wish him a fast recovery and be out here next week with a chance to win.
Neil, you think our heart could stand to do this again next year?
I'm telling you what, it gets better and better, and I bet you Yates bunch goes back and builds 008 to replace 007, and it'll probably be as fast as this other one.
Well, if you've never heard the superstition about racing at night under the full moon, it certainly gained all the credence it ever needed here tonight. One hot night in Charlotte certainly lived up to its billing as Davey Allison wins the Winston and $300,000. The car goes home in a basket. Kyle Petty is second. Ken Schrader is third. And they've still got a whole week to go racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. For Buddy Baker, Neil Bonnet, and the rest of our team, I'm Mike Joy. Good evening from Charlotte Motor Speedway.